Now, from the WCCO Live Desk, you're watching CBS News Minnesota.
Hi, good morning. I'm Maria Lisignoli, and it's 10 o'clock live in the WCCO newsroom. Thanks for joining us at the Live Desk. Possible changes are expected at the Department of Human Services today. It's coming as March is a big month for fighting fraud. This morning, Governor Tim Walz and DHS Commissioner Shireen Gandhi are expected to announce a proposal that'll, quote, transform the state's human service system. They say the proposal will strengthen program integrity and improve how services are delivered. The proposal comes after more than a week after Gandhi was named as commissioner. And as Minnesota faces a deadline from the federal government to unlock $259 million in Medicaid funding. The proposal will be announced around 11:45 this morning, and you can watch the full press conference live on our WCCO YouTube page. Well, today we're following a hearing to hold immigration agents accountable. It's called the People's Hearing on Immigration Enforcement. Several civil rights leaders, community organizations, and impacted families are set to speak. We also know Attorney General Keith Ellison and the attorney representing the family of Renee Good will be participating in the hearing. According to the Hispanic Federation, the hearing is set to last several hours, and the goal? Organizers say they want to document and preserve on-the-record testimony related to federal immigration enforcement, adding the forum will examine use of force, deaths involving federal officers, impacts on lawful protests, and more. The Hispanic Federation says there will be 4 parts, 3 panels, and then public input. Panel 1 will focus on enforcement practices and civil rights violations in Minneapolis. Panel 2 will broaden to national immigration enforcement, detention, and civil rights impacts. And then Panel 3 will be testimony from impacted individuals and their families here in Minneapolis. Organizers held a press conference ahead of the hearing around 9 this morning at the Capitol. Take a listen.
I am an immigrant and I am America. And so I'm here today to listen, to bring back information, but also to organize, because our communities now more than ever are under attack across the country. And the example of Minnesota is something that we need to bring back. The world has watched in Technicolor what has happened here, and the abuses, the chaos, and the fear that this administration has sown upon this city, as well as other parts of America. And so this hearing will ensure that the people of Minneapolis voices are heard loud and clear. We must all bear witness to these stories, and we must take action to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Now, this hearing will be live streamed on the Hispanic Federation's YouTube page starting at noon. At the state capitol today, there's a bipartisan push to pass safeguards for artificial intelligence. Several proposals got a hearing in the Minnesota Senate Monday, including one to ban your kids from using chatbots, and another requiring disclosure if businesses use AI with customers.
I don't hate AI. If it's done right, the promise of AI and other technological advancements could be tremendous. But the way that consumer-facing AI has been rolled out is a 5-alarm fire for our society and has devastating consequences and deadly consequences for both humans and our constitutional rights.
The Minnesota legislature previously passed a bill regulating the misuse of deep fakes, or manipulated images, audio, or video to influence an election or to create non-consensual sexual images. Also happening at the Capitol, we're going to be learning more about bills focusing on taxes, time changes, and technology. This morning, a House committee will look at a bill to stop Minnesota from falling back in November. There's also a revived bill coming to the House Commerce Committee to ban apps that use AI to make someone nude in a photo or video. Then a GOP education bill press conference. It would align Minnesota with the One Big Beautiful Bill tax law changes. And the House will also look into stopping undocumented immigrants from receiving financial aid from the Office of Higher Education. We are also following a bill to honor former House Speaker Melissa Hortman, now on its way to the Minnesota Senate floor for a vote. Minnesota's solar energy industry affectionately called Melissa Hortman their solar godmother because she's credited with ushering in the industry with a landmark 2013 law. It was one of her proudest achievements before she was shot and killed in that tragic June attack. Part of that legislation established community solar gardens, and this would rename it the Melissa Hortman Community Solar Garden Program. More about that program. It increases access to solar energy to more people like renters or individuals who can't afford solar on their homes so they can receive credit on their energy bills. At the time the law passed, community solar was a new concept. Minnesota is now a top state in the country, and that's due in large part to Melissa Hortman.
This is just one small part of the incredible legacy my kid's sister did on the state of Minnesota. And we all know the best way to honor her memory is to keep doing the work and keep going about on these issues that were important to her. And I think we should also recognize that her impact with this recognition on the community solar program.
There were several other people who gave their enthusiastic support for the bill Monday who work in the clean energy industry, sharing how much the former House Speaker shaped their work. There's also a similar bill that advanced in the House. New this morning, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says, quote, "Today will be yet again our most intense day of strikes inside Iran." Earlier, President Trump said the war with Iran could come to a close soon, telling CBS News in a phone interview, quote, "The war is very complete." Those comments from the president causing a different reaction from Iran's foreign minister, who said he ruled out talks after President Trump said the war with Iran would be over very soon. This morning, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth provided an update on the conflict. He says fighting continues on the U.S.'s timeline. Take a listen to the update.
This is not endless nation building under those types of quagmires we saw under Bush or Obama. It's not even close. Our generation of soldier will not let that happen again, and nor will this president, who very clearly ran against those kinds of never-ending, nebulously scoped missions. Those days are dead. Instead, we're winning decisively with brutal efficiency, total air dominance, and an unbreakable will to accomplish the president's objectives on our timeline. We stay locked on the target because here at the Department of War, that's our job.
People facing deportation have less time to file an appeal if they disagree with the ruling of an immigration judge. It went from 30 days down to 10. Also, cases that are appealed will no longer get an automatic review. Advocates call it a rapid loss of due process. It's just one of the rules immigration court observers say are changing. Senior investigative reporter Jennifer Mayerly sat in on immigration court for an afternoon. She digs into the process and gets to the truth of what judges are telling people.
It's here inside the Whipple Federal Building where immigration court takes place.
Everybody's in court because the government's trying to deport them.
Some people show up in person for hearings. Detainee hearings are held remotely.
And it's the judge's job to decide whether there's grounds for deportation, whether there's grounds to stay.
Amy Lang with the Advocates for Human Rights coordinates volunteers with the Immigration Court Observation Project.
What are you seeing in court these days?
The ability to find a legal pathway to stay here is just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
There are about 300 trained court observers. She says they try to be in court for every hearing and fill out this form detailing what happened.
One of the things we train observers to think about is, are people treated with dignity and respect? Are people given explanations in language that they can understand? How do you think that they are working within the system?
Lang says oftentimes there's help from an interpreter in court. Volunteers observe and don't intervene.
It can be really hard to see miscommunication happen, to see tempers flare, and you just wish you could say, I see where you're misunderstanding each other. Can I mediate this? You know, and you can't.
One of the things that struck me in court is when the judge showed people a list of pro bono or free legal services, then said he's being told they're not available, and went on to say hiring an attorney would cost a minimum of $10,000. And if you can't afford one, you'd have to represent yourself.
I want people not to give up. I want people to know that there are services available.
Allison Griffith with Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid, which provides free services, says they are taking on new clients.
It's incredibly helpful to have an attorney in removal proceedings. It's really challenging and really complex, and understanding what information might even be relevant to tell the judge can be so hard without a lawyer.
WCCO Investigates found other free legal aid services, Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota and the Advocates for Human Rights, both on the list, are still taking on new clients, while noting the demand outweighs the supply, so there's no guarantee.
The human toll is really painful.
Lang says observers witness how rules are changing, so what used to provide a pathway might not anymore.
So we'll see people say that over and over in court. I did everything I was supposed to. I have no criminal record. I have a permission to work here. I'm doing my job. I don't bother anybody. I used the app to come here, and then the door is slammed shut.